And that moves on to our final film, and maybe even the most controversial this week, Skinamarink, 2023 Skinamarink. I'm going to do my best to explain what was happening within the plot. Regardless, Nico is probably going to be like, some demon shit happens or something. There's actually shit that happens in this movie. It's obviously trying to tell a story. Clearly, it's not just an hour and 20 minutes of being boring as fuck, even though it also is that.
I know that it's trying to tell a story, but ultimately what this movie is about is there are kids in a spooky house with a demon.
Alright, so basically, the start of the movie kicks off with a child falling down the stairs and the parents rushing to try to, salvage this situation. And then when the child wakes up, he's basically just alone in his house. Again, I guess I should preface that this movie we're looking at it from the perspective of the boy child. I don't know what his fucking name.
Not all. Sometimes it's just pointing at a wall.
Correct, but primarily the perspective we're seeing is from the child, the male child.
Kevin.
Let's call him Harold.
Kevin, yeah. Kevin.
But
Kevin
his
and Harold.
name is Kevin.
Anyways, Kevin, yeah. So basically, he falls down the stairs. He wakes up in a house with his sister. All the fucking doors and the windows are gone. He is trying to figure out what's going on. He's trying to find his parents. He eventually goes, or no, it's the sister. I think he's like fucking playing with toys or some shit downstairs. And the sister goes upstairs to try to find the parents. And this is probably like the best scene in the whole movie, where she goes up there, sees her dad. The dad tells her to like look under the fucking bed. Doesn't see anything. She looks back up. Her mom is up there. She gives like some kind of speech about. It kind of sounds like a divorce speech, and like it's not your fault kind of thing. And then the mom does some demon shit. Daughter goes back downstairs. The kids play and like fall asleep again. Kevin wakes up. His sister's gone. He goes into the basement to look for her. He finds that she's been like taken over by the demon or something, because she like took her mouth in her face and shit. He's freaked out. He runs back upstairs. Demon wants to play with him. He doesn't want to play with the demon. Demon makes him fucking poke his eye out with a knife, so he does, because it's a demon. And then the second half of the movie.
I thought the demon had the girl take her eye out.
No, it was the boy. The girl was in the basement. Kevin went down to check on her, and then he ran back upstairs because he was scared. And then once he stabbed himself, that's kind of like when the second half of the movie kind of kicks in, where everything just kind of flips upside down, and weird shit starts happening more. The demon like really just wants him to go upstairs again, so he does. Kevin, goes upstairs. The whole fucking house is upside down. We get that really long panning shot of a bunch of shit in the fucking corner, and then like 556 days or whatever pops up on the screen. And then Kevin goes back downstairs to try to like look for his parents again. He sees his mom's face, without a face in the darkness. She says some shit, and then the movie ends. And that's basically Skinamarink in a nutshell. Within all of this happening, there's also like many minutes of just nothing fucking happening. Just looking at a wall or some shit, or like a random creepy, spooky imagery. So what do you guys think this movie's trying to portray? There's a lot of interpretations.
I mean, yeah, you can interpret it in many different ways. Because, like, initially when, like, little boy Kevin falls down the stairs, we do get a phone call of his, like, father on the phone with somebody, and he's being like, yeah, Kevin, he fell down the stairs at the hospital. He seems fine, though. It's okay. He's not really injured. We didn't even need stitches, guys. We didn't even need stitches. And why that scene exactly is in the movie could be pretty up in the air. Potentially he actually died, and like this is some weird limbo situation. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? But yeah, it's definitely seeming like there's some sort of a demon that's in the house with them, and it's just kind of fucking with them now. It's just kind of like, okay, I get this house all to myself, and these are my little playthings. Time to just like murder them endlessly for days and days on end as the years pass by, and they're still children, so they can literally do nothing here, okay? Because, like, that's, like, one of the scariest parts of this, is that, like, this is from the perspective of children, and they are very small children as well. So, like, we see them, like, using flashlights and shit throughout this movie, because they're really small and they can't even reach the fucking light switches. Which, like, that's a terrifying prospect. But at the same time, like, this movie is so fucking long, and it does not need to be this long whatsoever. Like, I get it, it's building up tension and stuff like that. We don't need this much tension being built up. You can easily cut out, like, probably fucking half an hour of this movie, and it'll be all the better for it, I
think there's literally, like, it's not like a director's cut, but there's somebody, I'm pretty sure, made a cut of this movie where they basically chop off, like, 20 minutes of content or something from it, and apparently that's a much more entertaining and concise experience.
Gotcha, okay.
I'm gonna read the one big note I wrote on this movie, which I feel like pretty well captures my problem with it, which is the story seems interesting, but the way that story was communicated leaves it muddled and far less compelling than it could be. And this really... I wrote that down way earlier, so I already thought. But as Jackson was going over the plot synopsis, it was really showing me how true that sentence is, because I caught some of the things here and there of what was going on in the movie, but a lot of the specifics that Jackson was mentioning, I was like, oh, is that what was going on? I couldn't even tell.
I think this is a good time for me to go out and say that I did, in fact, watch this movie again. I told you guys that I was going to probably do this because I don't think we watched it in a very good way. We're three dudes fucking around, not really paying attention, cracking jokes the whole time. That's the opposite of what you should be watching this movie and like as an experience, because it's really hard to immerse yourself into like the kind of world. We weren't paying attention. We were missing a lot of shit. I think my second watch of this movie was substantially better than the first one. I definitely got caught up a little bit in the atmosphere of it all. I obviously saw a lot more of what was happening, and I actually kind of like pieced together what was going on, which was fun. It was actually a pretty enjoyable experience the second time, I'm going to be completely honest. Mostly just because you can, like, throughout the entirety of it, you're getting bits and pieces of what's going on. You can kind of try to piece together the story, try to, like, theorize exactly what's happening, which I think is an entertaining watching experience. I definitely still think it has its downfalls. Obviously, it's way too fucking long. And the story is just like super fucking hard to follow. But I think it's pretty okay overall from a general standpoint.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like part of the fucking analog horror genre in general, is that for the most part the stories tend to be not like super clear. You're supposed to like think about it a lot, kind of piece things together, like go to other people, figure out what they thought and stuff like that. And yeah, that's definitely something that's felt a lot in this movie. It's a lot less about the story itself and more so about your general experience with it, about just kind of being immersed in this like super creepy atmosphere and stuff like that, but at the same time not a particularly huge fan of just how much time you really need to like sink into it for that. I don't think that it really benefits the film much from that.
I feel like a big problem with this movie too is that honestly I think the atmosphere in this movie is pretty well done, because that's really all it has going for it throughout most of it. But like the scary parts, I don't know, people were saying like the scary parts were like really scary, but I feel like the minor moments of, actual horror, like with the mom reaching out her hand, or the fucking faces in the darkness, or like the phone doing like a jump scare on you, that shit wasn't scary at all. It's just fucking like startled spookiness. I don't think that shit was well done at all. I've seen a decent amount of like analog horror stuff just because pops up on YouTube. And it's all that type of stuff. It's just like loud noise, sudden creepy face type shit, and it just doesn't work for me at all. I think it's like the lowest hanging fruit of horror.
Because like that kind of shit, it's not fucking scary at all. It's just kind of there to startle you. Like saying that fucking a horror movie that's like, it keeps jump scaring you. Saying something like that is scary is like, I don't know, fucking like going to see like a stand-up comedian and he comes up and he tickles you. Like they're achieving what they're setting out for, but it's a really cheap way of doing it.
That's what I was mentioning when we were watching, where I was like, a lot of the scares in here, it's like they're using the shortcut to getting a reaction out of you, which is loud noise and sudden movement of like a weird looking thing.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do that. I can, I could, if tonight while you guys are sleeping, I, snuck into your room and then fucking, like, punched you in the face and screamed at the top of my lungs, you'd probably be pretty startled.
Yeah.
Is that, like, some great accomplishment? Am I some great, maestro of horror now? No, of course not.
Are you guys going to give the movie any credit at all for what it did with its budget?
That's, like, the hardest thing here for me, is that, like, this is made by, like, a single fucking YouTuber, and, like, fucking, I want to like at least like, acknowledge that like, hey, this is like a great accomplishment and stuff like that, but like I just don't really like the end product very much, so it's hard for me to like really recommend this movie at all.
Yeah, I would agree. This movie is impossible to recommend. I've been recommending it to people constantly as a joke recently because I think it's funny. Like, they're like, yo, you should check out this cool horror movie I saw, Skinamarink. It's pretty entertaining. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll check that out. And then it's just this. And like, what the fuck is this? I think I really wish we had Dylan here too, because I'm curious what his actual, like, obviously...
I want to know his thoughts so bad. Should we have him record his thoughts on this movie?
I mean, I feel like pretty much what he's going to say is that... So a big thing with Dylan, he apparently had to watch this movie like 3 times because he kept falling asleep while watching it. I'm sure he's just going to say it's really fucking boring and like not really anything happens. He might say that it scared him a little bit, maybe, but I don't think that he'll delve too much further into it beyond that.
Big question, boys. Do you guys think he actually ended up watching the whole movie, or did he just like watch a little bit and be like, this is fucking stupid? And
yeah, I feel like there's a pretty solid chance he just kind of skipped through it. It's tough to say. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt too, and just believe him on, trying it 3 times and getting her done.
Yeah.
But yeah, just from his rank, I can tell he probably was not super hot in this movie. I feel like my ranking's still pretty rough on this shit, but it's probably the best from you guys. And I think that's mostly just because I went and watched it again, and I kind of, I'm not going to say it's like how you should have watched it, because I'm, but just like...
I mean, I do think that's the ideal way to watch this film.
Yeah, enveloping yourself in the atmosphere, not just being like with a bunch of dudes fucking around, watching some goofy movie and clowning at the whole time.
Yeah. I feel like even without doing that, I can still understand what they're trying to do here with this film. And with that said, guys, do you want to get onto the ratings here?
I suppose so.
All right, so
crack us off with Dylan giving an F.
Yes.
That's a bit far, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
what would you say is a solid ranking in your opinion then, Tanner?
I gave this one a C-.
C-.
Never mind. I thought I was going to be the lowest ranked, or the highest ranked one. As it turns out, I was wrong.
Okay.
I do not... We all rated the FNAF movie C-. I do not think this movie's better than the FNAF movie. Regardless of everything that I think it did well, it does so much wrong that I cannot put it above that movie. Even like some more like generic fucking horror movies, like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Pandorum and shit. I think the wasted time and just like the, I don't know, like being analog horror and not really being that scary are really detrimented a lot. I give it a D+ personally.
Yeah. It's so hard because, like I said, I want to rank this movie higher just because of like kind of what it stands for, but at the end of the day I can't do that because it just doesn't deserve it, that's the big problem here. I think D+ is probably a good rank for it. I'll go D+.
Honestly, this is higher than I expected to be. I honestly thought I was going to be like the only one that like didn't rate it somewhere in the F tier or like low D. So this is pretty good. This was an entertaining watch, boys. Let's go. I put it at a D.
There we go.
Still
Nice.
pretty fucking rough. It's right down there next to 8-Legged Freaks and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, that kind of sounds about right,
Yeah,
actually.
I'd say so.